Welcome friends, welcome to AB Astrology. So again today I have Shyam Kohli sir with us. Sir, pranam. बहुत pranam sir.
Thank you.
So today we're going to discuss a very common and most feared topic, as you can see on the thumbnail as well, Mangal Dosh ya MANGLIK. Sometimes it is also known as MANGLIK Dosh. So today sir will tell us in the most practical way, is it a dosh or a yog in anyone's chart? So sir, off to you.
Share the screen.
Yes sir.
Okay. Welcome to all viewers of Aman Bedi ji website.
Sir,
and today he has asked about the Manglik or Manglik Dosh, and I shall be taking this topic. Few points, that 9 points come in my mind, and all will be discussed. Few of them will be discussed scientifically and what is their meaning there. So first of all, when we take a birth, then we are having a fixed road path of the life. This road path, there are various destinations, just like education, marriage, law affairs, career, and health and other things. So first of all, these road path is decided by our past karma, and we have to clear it out. This is called a Rina Anubandh. That is the debt that we have done, and it has to be cleared. And on the basis of this, we will get the circumstances to face what we have sowed. So we will be facing those circumstances, and we will be acting with our intelligence or our vivek or prudence to clear it out. Now, to be very specific about this Manglik, I am having of these points. First, one must know the marriage life path, because marriage life path is the most important thing on which everything related to the marriage, marital relations, and all law affairs, everything that unites you with someone and departs you from someone. This is all about your marriage path. Then I'll be coming to what is a Mars mythology in the old text and what is the scientific view about that. Then come to the what is Manglik as told by the old text. Is that to be feared or it is just an illusion?
Right.
And the most important thing in analyzing is your ascendant, because Mars is not bad for every ascendant, but Mars is very bad for few ascendants.
Right.
So those ascendants will be discussed. What are those? Then marriage, love and satisfaction is the outcome of your relationship, and the role of Mars and Venus. That is the most important thing in any relationship, what it is and how to see it. Then we come to the happiness and Manglik versus non-Manglik.
Right.
Whether Manglik is good or not, or non-Manglik is good or not. And with two charts, I'll be discussing this. So it becomes a little bit lengthy, but I'll try to keep it short.
Thank you. I look forward to the slides, sir. Looks very interesting.
Now we come to the first slide, that is according to our karmas. This is our middle path, is our my road path. Now on this road path, there will be few will be merging with this and few will be coming from this sides. These are the merging points. And in relationship, these may become a love marriage or love affair, or even turn out as a marriage. So there are three possibilities. If you have chosen a road path of this, how to find out the road path? I have told my students in my lectures how to find out road path for marriage, career, and other things depending on all planets. That is out of text here. But suppose here there is a possibility that someone will be coming closer to you,
Right.
and it may come and go there. So basically, what we are represented by the ascendant as a whole in general,
Right.
because ascendant represents your body and brain and everything you are doing with that. So it is your ascendant. That is, ascendant is most important. Now, what you have got in ascendant, what you desire, because there are four tattva in horoscope, and fifth is a Jupiter denoted by space, that is separate. Now, this is fire, earth, air, and water. Again, fire, earth, air, and water. This sequence goes on. Now, fire is here. You have taken a birth, and a fire is there. How to ignite the fire? What you require? You require air. Air can only ignite the fire. So you will see that every house has got seventh from its supporting house. If this is fiery, this will be airy. If it is earthy, this will be watery, because earth requires water for germination.
Right. Right.
Fire will be having this air. Now, air, every tattva is decided by this thing, that you are a fiery, then you require air. Now, the quantity of air, if it is more, then your fire may extinguish. If it is less, then you will feel scarcity of the air. But in that way, if your fire is as much as you require air, then your life is balanced. Based on these things, there are three possibilities. One is coming to you, and it is merging with you. Now, this is the most important axis, that is the first and seventh. Right. Because it represents your whole body. So first and seventh. On this axis, if there is any planet that will leave the impact on your life and your relationship, the most impacting planet is Rahu and Ketu. If Rahu and Ketu are connected here, this means that you have got a karmic debt to be cleared in a greater amount. And that is nearly impossible for you to clear it out easily unless you do more efforts. So first order is Rahu and Ketu. Second comes the Saturn. Saturn is little bit less than Rahu in a malefic sense, because Saturn requires the hard work. And if you are ready for a hard work, you will succeed. If you are not ready, you are not disciplined. Saturn, you just see the qualities of Saturn. Saturn requires the long time, long duration, hard work, discipline. And if you do these things, then you will get success. If you do not do these things, you will be a failure. So why to blame others? Blame what you have done. Then you have to see the sign on this sign on the first and seventh house. What is the sign? Actually, again, to our viewers, I say house represents what you will see. What you will do, it will be denoted by the house, and how you will do, it will be denoted by the sign. So sign, if it is Libra, this means you have to balance there. If sign here is, say, Cancer, then what will happen? Then you have to be emotional representation to clear it out. So according to the sign there. Right. Then our relationship, our marriage highway, these are the four highways: 159, 2610, 3711, and 4812. These are the four highways. Right. Now this relationship highway is 3, 7, and 11. if there is an enemy planet on this highway, they will obstruct you and say, give my toll tax and then pass away. Otherwise, you cannot clear the road. So these highways are just like a toll tax.
Right.
So here it is a Mercury, natural is the Mercury,
Right.
Venus and Saturn. Mercury, Venus and Saturn, if it is a Aries ascendant. And if any ascendant, these are the natural things. Now, depending on your ascendant, you can see what are my planets here, and is there any planet placed in 3, 7 and 11 or influencing 3, 7, 11, and especially in relationship 7th. 7th is one-to-one relationship and marriage is one-to-one relationship. 3 is your neighbors and your friends and other things, and 11th is the communication with masses. So for marriage, we have to focus only on the 7th. If there is any planet influencing the 7th, then this you will find out this way. So this is the first stage when someone is coming to closer to you, and whether he will be continued with you or not, then you come to this slide. Now this is the second slide. These are the parallel roads coming and parallel movement. So this is a long lasting marriage and that does not break anywhere till your death. So these are the parallel, and these marriages are blessed with no malefic influence on the 7th house. So 7th house is the most important. Now one will ask that if we take a ascendant chart, then the 7th house represents lot many things.
Right.
So why it is applicable to this? In a general, 7th house is there, but if we go for the relationship and marriages, then you have to consider D9 chart also for 7th house. D9 chart also. Now, if suppose in the ascendant it is bad, but in D9 it is not bad, then the situation will cross over. So these are the impacts of. So here there should be no interference of any malefic planet on the 7th house.
Right.
Now the third situation can be this one. You are moving together and your roads are separate. Rahein juda ho gayi. Your roads are separated here. So this means you have completed your karmic debt with that person and now you are free for going. These are the situations of breakage, or you can say divorce and other things.
Sir,
So,
I love, sorry to interrupt, I love your imagination. The way you portray your slides, it relates to me a lot. That's the way I also like to do.
So this is all, sir, based on the karmic debts. Now, one more question comes in the mind, whether marriages are made in heaven or not. Then on that subject, in the lectures to the students on marriage, it is nearly 6 hours. So I have told how to find out whether this boy will marry this girl or not. You can definitely, before matching any horoscope, you can find out that whether this person will marry this girl or not. So I always see the first, whether there is a possibility of marrying with this. Marriage will only happen if both have got the common debt to be cleared. Common debts to be cleared. Otherwise, they will not have your contact. And the duration of debt clearing, that decides the length of your marriage or relationship. Duration of your debt clearing. Right. So in that you come with the dasha, antardasha, and everything comes in the picture, and just not only to Mars and other things, everything we have to analyze. So this is the now we come to the next. When we talk about Manglik, Manglik means Mars. Mars, role of Mars. The first we should know what is Mars. Right. Right. Now, unless we don't know what is Mars, how we can know what that planet will do in our horoscope? Yeah. The first thing is, if every horoscope is just with the basic structure of Aries ascendant, because in the beginning, when astrology was carried out, then there was no past debt. with anybody. So it started with the Aries ascendant. And now you see the Mars represents the first house lordship and the eighth house lordship. First and eighth. That is Aries and Scorpio. The lordship is there. Now, what is the first? First is your life. It is the life. And eighth is your death. Life to death. These are the two functions of Mars. Mars, when in Aries or in a first house, it represents the life, the starting of the life. And in the eighth house, it is in a very, this is the death point, or because 22nd Drashkon also comes here, and it gives you death or death-like situations. Right. Does not mean that the person will die, but right. Death situations. Right. Now, these two are the basic situations of, because here Mars is in a watery sign, and Mars is fire. So fire and water, they create the steam. Right. And here there is this is the basement actually. Eighth house, when you have seen the house explanation, eighth house is the house where a great transformation occurs, because fire and water comes in a contact to make the steam. So in a medical terms, I call this as a surgery ward. This is OPD, this is your ICU. There are various things. So Mars is, and few more qualities of Mars is, that is explorer, because you start your life, it is dry and hot. Impact of Mars will be realized when we know exactly the Mars. I am not going in detail of the Mars, but a few points that will be required here. It is an adventure, risk-taking. Mars is the point where we do the work by own desire. And Saturn is the point where we go with as a laborer. This is the basic difference between Mars and Saturn. Mars is our kinetic energy, move with our own desire. So hobbies are our own desires. Mostly the hobbies, where Mars is placed in your horoscope, this means that house affairs you are doing very well with your own desire. But where Saturn is placed, you are forced to do that.
So well said.
Mars in a Nadi is astrology is called husband. Why Mars husband? I'll come to a little bit. Actually, Mars is movement, and eighth house is the hidden point. And Mars is a movement in a hidden area. This means penetration. Right. And that's why it is termed as the house of sex. Right. Eighth house is the house of sex. Right. Now, Mars is a push, while Venus is a pull. Venus attracts the person. Mars pushes. Right. And here see, 1 and 7. 1 is ruled by Mars, 7 is by Venus. It is a push-pull arrangement. Here also you see, here Venus is a pull, and here it is a push. Everywhere Mars and Venus naturally are opposing each other. So this is a natural combination of Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus are having a natural combination. So Mars feels ever youth. This is the quality of Mars. Mars, even in the old age, if Mars is connected with the ascendant or Lord of Ascendant or the ascendant Nakshatra, so mostly you will find the person even in the old age will not feel old. So this is the energy that is flowing in them.
Very interesting, sir. Usually we, like on a mundane level, we hear the same thing for Mercury, but first time I'm hearing something like this.
Mercury is actually the movement flip-flop.
Okay.
If you know the Mercury traits, the best thing I say, you sit in a garden and see a tree where a bird is coming and it is moving from this branch to this branch, this branch to this branch, flip-flop, moving within limits. This is the nature of Mercury. It is very slippery.
Right.
Now we come to the Mars. Mars is represented by, in mythology, Kartikeya, the son of Lord Shiva.
Right.
And Kartikeya, those who know the story of Shiv Puran, they will realize that Kartikeya was born by Shiva and Parvati by flowing the energy, and it was just like a fireball, and that was the Agni Devata
Yeah,
took
with the
that,
help of, yeah.
and
That
it
is
was,
why some of them consider Agni Dev as the foster parent for
yeah.
Kartikeya.
Now actually what happened, that ball dropped on the earth and it broke into the six parts,
Right.
and six Kartikeya, these nurses, they took and nursed her. So that's why mostly you will find that those born in a Kritika Nakshatra, they are mostly served by the nurses or some other than their mother.
Mothers. Yes,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
this is the story, and that is the inference taken.
Right, 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 right.
Now, we come to the Mars again. It's a kinetic energy. It is an offense and attack.
Yeah.
Offense is just like an animal passion.
Right.
Mars wants movement, and it is just like an animal passion that it wants to fulfill. Mars is a fire and work by desire and restless,
Right.
because when a movement is there, then it will be a restless situation for them. Now we coming to the main points. We ask what is Mangalik
Manglik.
and what it is given in the literatures. In our text, it is given that if Mars is in the first house, second house, fourth house, seventh house, eighth house, or 12th house, these situations creates the Mangalik.
Right.
Now, why it is said so much? We have just seen that there are two houses that affect the relationship on physical terms,
Right.
not on mental satisfaction. I am talking on physical terms, because marriage contains the physical aspect most, because your body, first house, wants someone, that is the seventh house,
Right.
and then you marry.
Right.
Now, here the first house, this means the impact on the seventh house and impact on the eighth house. If Mars is there, it generates the Manglik. But here, our text have ignored one more point, that if Mars is placed in the fifth house, even then it will create the impact on the eighth house. So I consider Mars in the fifth house also a very important point,
Point.
because in that conditions, what are the impacts? Impact is on the seventh house or eighth house. What does seventh house impact mean? Seventh house impact means that there is something going in the relationship. It is just the starting point of sex, not the sex point.
Right.
Behavior, relationship, balancing relationship, and exchange.
Right.
This is the starting point. But if influence is on the eighth house, it will definitely create something positive or negative on the sexual relationship. On the sexual relationship.
Right.
Now, Mars has got the three aspects, just like the Trishul of a Lord Shiva, and I call it the three rays alpha, beta, and gamma. Three rays alpha, beta, and gamma. This article I have written on the Facebook also.
Right.
So these means the first is the seventh aspect. Seventh aspect is very feeble aspect. That is only impacting 25%. The impact on of the seventh house is 25%. But the fourth house impact is 100%.
100%. Okay.
100%. And eighth house impact is 100%. So eighth house impact is. So we have to see two things: the houses impacted by the Mars and how much impact is there. Without looking at this is affecting seventh house, eighth house, Manglik has come. No, nothing is going to happen. We have to measure the intensity of the Mars influence on the seventh and the eighth house. Mars influence on the 7th and 8th house. This is very important. And in that, I have told a very good method I found is Sarvastak method. Sarvastak method or Vinnastak, you can see what are the points of Mars in the 7th house or 8th house in Vinnastak Varga. That will decide to a great extent without going into the very complication of the analysis. That I'll come example later on.
Right.
Two practical examples I'll take, and that. So that is why we have to focus on the 7th and the 8th house. In D1 chart and in D9 chart also. If there is a problem in D1 chart and D9 does not support, then this means this relationship is going to affect somewhere in your partnership or your business or any other areas, but not in marriage. D1 and D9 chart both has to be taken into consideration. Now, I have taken one point, told that ascendant is the most important point in any horoscope, and especially in Manglik. So in Manglik case, we must see which ascendant is going to affect too much for the Mars. The natural. Now for this, I will analyze only 4, 5. Rest I will leave them. Now the first is, if it is Aries ascendant, then what will happen? Here the Mars is having lordship of the 1st and 8th house. This means a huge transformation in life will occur. If Mars is naturally the lord of 1st and 8th house, and being a lord of 8th house, if it is placed suppose in the 5th house, then in the creativity or in the children, there will be a transformation. If it is placed in the 4th house, then the matter of that house will be transformed.
Totally makes sense, sir.
Willing to confront, because Mars is aggressive and willing to confront with anyone, and it is competitive and active. These are the few qualities that Aries ascendant will take over. Now, if Lord of 8th, that is Mars, in Aries ascendant is placed in the 7th house, it will create havoc. Why? The great transformation is subjected to the relationship. And in such cases, mostly there is given a yoga for female, a Vandhya yoga. This means the husband will die. But that I don't say, but there will be a great struggle in the life. That is. So we have to see accordingly that how to interpret the ascendant and the Mars role in the horoscope. Now take the Taurus ascendant. Taurus ascendant is having the lordship of the 12th house and the 7th house. 12th house is the second house of the sex and sleep and isolation. It will impact here. And 8th is always a sign of transformation. So powerful sexual nature and competitive spouse. Spouse will be competitive enough. Secretive and competitive. 8th is the secret sign. So such person are fated for the spouse having competition with their husband. So this is the impact here. Now we come to this Gemini. Now this is the most important sign, and this red I have shown that it requires great caution.
Red alert.
Here it is having the lordship of the 6th and 11th house. Because yes, Mars is there, so you can see that 6th and 11th. 6th is the obstacle, and 6th to 6th is the greater obstacle. So this is having great problem. Now the lordship of this 11th house. What are these two houses? These two hands represented in astrology. Just see, 3rd house and 11th.
11th house.
correct? Now the third house, and this is the hand, represents the hand. Lordship is Mars, Aries sign. This means hand is very active. Hand is very active. So extreme violence and physical assault. मतलब है कि he will be having a great, he may be having a extreme violence in relationship, even putting hands and fighting. So this we have to now here, sixth house is your confrontation house, law and litigation, and there can be a sudden litigation involved. But this will only happen not only on the base of the Mercury ascendant, because 1/12 of the population will be having this Gemini ascendant.
Right.
Then only if the Mars placed is influencing the seventh house or eighth house, then such situation may occur. If Mars is not influencing, then this situation will not occur. It will be just.
What about the other houses like 4 and 12? Then what?
Now, fourth house. The fourth house, if Mars is, you want to say that Mars is placed in the fourth house.
Yes.
Mars is placed in the fourth house, and it will be impacting here the seventh house, and impacting here the 10th house and 11th house.
Yes.
Now, 11th house aspect is 100%.
100%.
Aspect.
Right.
Now, fourth house, where Mars is placed, that planet will obey the instruction of that house lord.
Okay.
Because he's dead. This means the everything will originate from the home. And due to the home fight, there will be a physical assault also. But other thing that is coming there in the home, that the fourth house affair, when Mars is placed in the Virgo sign, this means Virgo is ruled by the Mercury. Mercury is a logical and explanatory and cautious. And Mars is active and quick. Mercury wants to analyze and then wants any decision. Mars wants a quick action. And there is a tension that the husband will be needing to doing the things very fast, but the spouse will be analytical, and this creates the rift. So Mars and Mercury are, why Mars and Mercury combination is not good? Because Mercury wants the analysis. What I will do, I'll analyze first, then do. And Mars is quick, cannot wait. Because having energy, the movement it wants. And if it is restricted, then there will maybe a havoc. So that's why the Mars-Mercury combination is not good for that.
Right. Totally makes sense, sir.
Then we come to the next sign, that is more, that is Cancer sign.
Right.
This is most dreaded sign in relation to the marriage. The reason is emotional sign.
Right.
And anything that hurts his or her emotion creates the problem for a long time.
Right.
Now, moreover, this is opposite sign is Capricorn, ruled by the Saturn. So this means natural some problem from the past is there. Moon and Saturn, natural rulers, are not comfortable. Now here, what will Mars do? Mars, if it is Mars is placed, Mars is the lord of the 5th house and 10th house. So most of the Cancer ascendant persons are bound to move for the career and creativity. They are more focused for the career and creativity because it is their natural interest, because ruling Mars is there and Mars is a natural desire. Right. Their natural desire is to uplift their career and creativity. Right. Now what happens? The relationship Lord Saturn is not comfortable with Mars. So they create the problem. Now due to their career, suppose female is working
Right.
then they will be forced for the work for the house. So they will be getting the problem. So career and creativity is obstructed mostly for if they want to maintain the relationship, then what they have to do? They have to do a great work for husband or spouse. 10 is the Capricorn is the sign denoted by a goat climbing on the cliff. This
Right.
means moving upward, then slipping, moving upward, then a hard and continuous work. That can only save your marriage relationship. You have to look after your spouse, his clothes, and his bills, and taking all the care and devoting much time for him. But where you will lie, if you devote much time here, you are left no time for this career and here.
Sir,
And
yeah, this make a lot of sense because I have a lot of friends having Cancer ascendant. They are all married, and this totally makes sense what you're saying, because what I have also observed, most of the times they are sacrificing a lot for their partners also. The seventh
definitely,
house.
yeah, if they want to maintain the relationship, they have to sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
Bear the burden of the spouse. 10th house is a ladder. Bear the burden, multi-story burden over them in relationship.
Right.
They have to, if they want to maintain it. It is due to their past karma.
Karma.
No one is responsible for that. So that is the way. Career, children, creativity oriented, crush what comes in this way. Those who are taking initiative, they sacrifice this thing. They go for their career and creativity. They don't. So mostly, this is the problem. But their divorce occurs very late because the reason is the lordship is Saturn. Saturn holds the things, delays the things. If the divorce situation comes, it will be delayed.
Yeah, it can be nasty. Yeah, delay and
Yeah.
nasty.
Saturn aspect on the seventh house is good to avoid the divorce. It looks difficult to digest, but it is true that Saturn delays the things.
Right, 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 right.
Now we come to the next ascendant, Leo.
Leo.
Leo, king, no doubt, king. And Mars is friendly to the ascendant
Right,
because it is Mars is a commander.
right.
Mars is a lord of the ninth house and lord of the fourth house.
Yoga Karak also.
The spirituality, a movement, a higher knowledge, and other things. And fourth house is your house of this home and your native place. So spirituality oriented, can sacrifice pleasure for higher knowledge, can sacrifice pleasure for higher knowledge, and less marriage interest, because Mars is here and this sign is ruled by the Saturn, and this is Sun. Sun and Saturn. Sun is a light, Saturn is a darkness. One can exist at one time. So this makes a sense how to handle. My purpose is not to put the problem. My purpose is how to tackle such Leo ascendant. They are also getting problem in relationship.
Right.
And the reason is that ego is coming in their way. The person wants to be a king and treat spouse as a servant. Saturn is a servant.
Yeah,
Now,
me first.
the best thing is what this person says, you should follow that and treat him intellectually, not physically. Intellectual relationship. 11 is a sign of scientific and intellectual. So he will be impressed with your intellectual knowledge, not by your chatting and other things. So these are the ways you can find out by knowing the ascendant how to handle all relationship. Your mother, your sisters, your son, your daughter.
I think, sir,
So
more than a half of the knowledge which you are giving us here is also based on the Kal Purusha Kundli.
yeah,
It's going
definitely.
very well on that.
So this is the way that you can find out the natural traits of the person from there.
Absolutely, sir.
Now, next we come to most dangerous after Virgo. And Mars is one of the havoc creator for Virgo. Here it is the Lord of the third and Lord of the eighth.
Malefic, yeah.
And in most cases, eighth is the death. And Marak for the spouse. Second from the seventh. Marak from the spouse, for the spouse. So females having this Virgo ascendant, and if Mars is influencing to the seventh or eighth house,
Right.
be very cautious, because I have seen nearly 30% of the in cases that person have gone. In 2017,
Right, sir.
a girl was married,
Right.
and with that, and she showed me the horoscope of this. I saw the Virgo ascendant. I was astonished to see that how the persons have matched the horoscope, because somewhere she got the matching also, and they told the very good and other things. I was astonished to see that her Mars was here,
The fifth house.
affecting the eighth house. And the person who were treating this other, so I don't know who that person was,
Right.
but he told me, exalted Mars, your husband will shine like anything, and you will get this. I told, be cautious. During this tenure, there can be a sudden problem with your husband, even the life may go.
Hmm.
Uh, Back to my mouth, her husband died due to corona
Oh.
recently.
Oh.
And this is the thing that we should not go Mars exalted, that yoga, and Kendra, and this Trikon. Any planet exalted will give life. This is all. You have to see where it is influencing, and it influenced with a high intensity. Exalted Mars with a high intensity on the fourth house. That is 100% influence was there.
Right.
100%. And moreover, you see, from here Mars is aspecting the eighth house on the 12th. 12th is the house of departure
Right.
from the world.
Right.
And it is the house of isolation, Shamshan.
Right.
And these things I actually warn our viewers and our student also, that do not predict based on only one planet or two planets exalted and the results will be. Now, what other things with this, coming back to this point, now extreme troublemaker, Lord of third house and Lord of the eighth house. Third house is this right hand.
Right.
He used to slap her. He used to slap. I actually asked her that is there physical assault on you he is doing? She told yes.
Hmm.
So she was slapped. You see this Mars.
Sir, this is very interesting. Now, I am also thinking of few charts over my head, Virgo Lagna, and this is the scenario in some of the cases. Totally makes sense what you're saying.
That is a very typical thing. So actually,
in my case, what I am thinking is Mars is also in Lagna with Saturn.
that is the thing that I want to tell, that your chart denotes lot many things. Only you have to put a microscope on your eyes.
Absolutely.
To read that.
Right.
Now the first house is the first house. Mars, if Mars is in the first house, what will happen? Here Mars in the first house, that is Manglik case now.
Right.
There will be argument, intestine problem is generated, and that you can find out why.
Right.
Everything I won't put now. Now the second house, if Mars is there, then the kidney and generative organ is afflicted.
Right.
And the seventh house, if Mars is there, the second spouse may separate. because the aspect on the second house. Now, a very interesting thing. You must know if planets in the second house promotes the liaison with someone. I don't say it is a sexual liaison or something. Second house means a family. It wants to make a family. Family means first your family reigns.
Right.
You will be familiar with that. So second house, this is also a second marriage. And Rahu mostly creates such situations more. And eighth house, if Mars is close, injury or death of the either. Eighth house here will be second from the seventh, that is the marak, strong marak for the spouse, and death will occur. So this is all about the ascendants.
Right.
And after that, the next we'll take up the charts. If you want a break or not, so I don't know.
I'm good, sir. If you want to take a break, up to you. I'm good.
And now, if it is sufficient for you, the first part, then no problem. But
Right, sir.
I can
Right, sir.
continue.
Right, sir. Right.
Now, first of all, we should know Mars and Venus is most important.
Right.
Mars is a push and Venus is a pull. And Venus is viscous. Venus represents the viscous. Mars penetrates. And if suppose your surface is viscous, then the penetration will be less.
Right.
This means it acts as a shock absorber.
Right.
If Venus influence is on the 7th and 8th house, it acts as a shock absorber.
Right.
And this will prevent the problem to great extent. So Venus want to harmonize at any cost.
Right.
Because all viscous things, just like dal or semen or other things, you will find everything represented by honey. Venus is a viscous nature. Their molecules, once they are fluid and just acts as a shock absorber. So this is the Venus. So the why I am giving emphasis, when you see the Manglik, and if there is an influence of the Mars on the 7th and 8th house, and if Venus is involved there in the 7th or 8th house, that house will be protected to the great extent.
Okay.
And we must not say that it will be a problem for that. So this is the way where actually I want to emphasize that Mars is not creating much problem. We'll come with the practical charts. Now, for coming to this, the Mars, we have taken the houses 1, 2, that is Manglik houses.
Yeah, 1,
Then
2, 7, 8,
we
12.
Mars in there. So that I don't want to discuss these also.
No, sir. These are very self-explanatory.
Self-explanatory. So Mars role, we must know in the what is the Mars role in the first house, second house. But only one thing you should know, that if Mars is placed in the second house, what are the houses that will be influenced? That is, suppose one I will explain. If there is a first house, Mars,
Right.
then Mars will be influencing the 4th house, influencing the 7th house, influencing the 8th house.
Right.
7th house influence is less, 25%. Here it is more, and here it is more. This means the energy put by the Mars is here great, and energy put by the Mars here is also great. Now, here energy in the 4th house is very much.
Right.
Now, what will happen? If this energy is creating the problem, then in the home affairs, then what is there? In the 4th house, how to tackle such persons? Manglik person, how to tackle if Mars is in the first house. Then the 4th house, he will be having 100% impact. Everything he will be interfering at home. Do this, do this. Now make him busy. Make him busy in few pursuits of the house.
Right.
Say you go and today I have found that there is some problem with the fridge.
Right.
And how to arrange the things I am not able to understand. Please do that.
So in the household chores, they can engage.
He will be engaged there.
Right.
Now, suppose there is a relationship with mother is not going well. You
Right.
say, actually, she is my mother and I am not able to handle her. Please, you handle, and you are the best person for that.
Right.
He will fight with mother also for you,
Right.
but don't show your ego.
Right.
Mars does not want that you show the ego. So this is the way how to tackle energy diversion principle. I say,
Right.
if energy is more here, you diverse in the matters of the fourth house.
Mhm.
Not many fourth house. You give him a book of his interest, he will be busy with that.
Right.
So such are the areas where how to tackle them.
Okay.
Because if you know the hobbies of your husband, you can very well tackle him
Right. Right.
or his spouse. And so this is the only purpose of the Mars in every house I have explained.
Right.
So I am not taking this up to 12th house. I am not taking these points now.
Right.
Now we'll be coming with the practical example of Manglik, one case of Manglik and one case of non-Manglik.
Non-monk.
Now we'll see, show you the how the difference occurs.
Right.
This is a horoscope of a person, and he is a Manglik, and he is having a good spouse, working spouse. He is having a daughter, good, and he is not having much good relationship with the spouse, involved somewhere also.
Okay.
Even after the long journey of marriage, they are not separated,
Right.
and he is able to persuade his spouse that okay, everything he does, but he is able to convince and is till date. Now you see the horoscope. The first of all, if any horoscope comes to you, you have to make a chart of D1 and D9, and the nakshatra also you have to see.
Right.
And then is Sarvastak and Vinastak. These are the basic things. Without that, I cannot proceed. Anyone can proceed. They know the better method. But this gives you a clear picture how I'll show you.
Right.
Now here Mars is in the first house. Definitely, it is the Manglik, and Mars is in the own house, a strong Manglik case. And this Rahu is impacting the Mars. This means Mars is having a more amplification. Rahu is amplifier,
Right.
more amplification.
Right.
And Mars nakshatra is Bharani,
Man.
ruled by the Venus.
Right.
So this means उसकी रगों में जो flow हो रहा है, the veins are having a blood of Venus.
Venus.
Mars is the outer picture, and nakshatra is what is flowing inside.
Absolutely.
And Pada is the root.
Right.
Pada is the root.
Right.
So Venus is there. So Venus means attraction.
Right.
He is drawn to strong attraction anywhere it comes.
Right.
And where Venus is placed in the seventh house. So everywhere, whenever he gets the chance, he is ready for this alliance.
Right.
This is the way you can find out what is flowing in. Suppose instead of this, if Mars would have been in the nakshatra of the Jupiter,
Right.
the situation would have been quite different.
Right.
Then he would be focused on his profession.
Yeah, Mars and Bharni. Yeah.
So this does not mean that only Mars is the outer show, the face. But what is driving the face? That is the nakshatra.
Nakshatra.
So here Mars is there. Now,
Very prominent Bharni. Lagna also Bharni. Moon also Bharni.
yeah, all three planets, ascendant and plus Mars and Moon, all in Bharni.
Too much energy.
Mentally focused to Venus,
Right.
physically focused to Venus.
Absolutely.
Now you see that Mars is influencing the fourth house.
Right.
Now see the situation of the fourth house first. Fourth is the house of your happiness.
Absolutely.
Because the reason is it is the house of moon. A
Right.
moon is your mind. And naturally it is a sign Cancer where Jupiter is exalted.
Right.
Now I must go out of text a little bit.
Right.
Jupiter is our happiness everlasting, non-perishable. And Venus is happiness that comes and goes, comes and goes.
Right. Right. Right.
Venus is attached with the physical aspect, and this is everlasting happiness.
Right.
So here Jupiter is exalted
Right.
in the. Now the moon is placed here, first house. Moon is seen by the Rahu, and seventh house is having aspect of the Ketu also.
Right. Right.
Now we must see one thing, that Venus is having 10 degrees and Ketu is also having 10 degrees. It is absolutely eclipsing.
Right. Right.
If the angle is more than 3 degrees, it is not affecting too much.
Right.
So this means there is a great problem in relationship. But moon, this strong Venus, seventh house, if Lord of the seventh house is the manager of the marriage
Right. Right.
or manager of the relationship, and it is strong. So divorce cannot occur.
Right.
Strong Venus is there, divorce cannot occur. The reason is in this period he is running in the Venus Dasha, Mahadasha.
Right.
Dasha is more important also.
Right.
So I am not giving that points.
Right.
So you have to see this. Now we come to the D9 chart. Mars is again in the
Lagna.
first house, Lagna. And Jupiter is strong here in the 8th house. So protecting Jupiter in the 8th house is a great benefit for the happiness. Why? Jupiter is aspecting the 4th house. And marriage happiness is seen by the D9 chart.
Right.
Overall happiness is here, but marriage happiness or relationship happiness has to be seen by the D9 chart.
D9.
So Jupiter is strong Jupiter looking the 4th house. This means happiness is there. So the person is very much protected. Now we come to the bindus of this. Now let's see the Mars. Mars is having
2 points.
points here. Points less than 4 weakens the bond. And this the maximum point Mars is in the 11th house.
11th house.
So he is very public man.
Okay.
Meeting with not many persons, a political person.
Okay.
Politician he is.
Oh.
So he is having this combination also. Now, one thing more important, if there is a lot of difference between Sarvastak Bindus of the first house and the 7th house, then the marriage may fail. There is if that is more than 10 points, I have seen that trouble with the marriage is there.
If more than 10 points. Okay. Okay.
More than 10. I have observed this thing. And now what is the contribution of the planets in the 7th house? You see, Sun is giving 2. This means the spouse is not putting ego. Sun is 2. Sun means ego.
Right.
Now Moon is the 3, not very emotional for him.
Right.
Mars is 2, not very active.
Right.
Mercury is 2, not too analytical. Jupiter is 7.
Sir, when
Jupiter,
you say 2 in Mars in the 7th house, you mean not very active at home, right?
yeah, this means actually the more point on the 7th house, Mars influence more points on the 7th house creates problem.
Right.
Because there is some activity going on there.
Right.
And
right.
that may create problem. Less point in the Mars in the 7th house is good.
Good. Right.
And 7 points there is the Jupiter. This means her intelligence and vivek Our prudence is working, and more religious bent. Jupiter is religious bent, and she is, because Jupiter is also the lord of the ninth house and lord of the 12th house in this case.
Right. Right.
So these way, actually, Sarvastak is such a beautiful thing. These things are not given in any text.
Right. Right.
These you can analyze, and as many as application of Sarvastak you can do. It depends upon your analysis.
Sir,
Now,
I tried observing the same pattern which I have learned or we have learned from you in the previous lecture for strengthening or the strength of the planet. It works. It really works.
now the one thing more, Rahu in the Mula and Ketu in the Ardra.
Right.
What do you think this combination can create? Rahu in the Ketu Nakshatra and Ketu in the Rahu Nakshatra.
Sir, chalta phirta bomb, I would say.
You will find that such person may meet sudden accident,
Right. Right. Right.
provided other things are there. It is my observation.
Right.
Whenever Rahu is in a Ketu Nakshatra or Ketu in a Rahu Nakshatra,
Right.
a sudden accident in the life occurs.
Right.
But he is protected. Jupiter in a 8th house, that is surgery ward, protects the ICU.
Absolutely.
And he has met a severe accident and was in a coma for 7 days. Recovered.
Wow.
So such is the thing that we have to see the chart as a whole.
Right. Absolutely, sir.
Now we come to the last chart in this category.
Right.
That up to now we have gone to the Manglik. Now we come to the non-Manglik.
Right.
Non-Manglik is as dangerous as Manglik. We must start understand that Manglik and non. Up to now we have seen that Mars influence we have to judge.
Right.
And then only we should see, and the intensity, two factors, where Mars is influencing and how much Mars is influencing. These two factors related with the Dasha and Antardasha. After marriage, Dasha and Antardasha, a bad period is not coming, then it is of no importance that Mars is there or not.
Absolutely.
Because things will operate in the Dasha and
Antardasha. Yes.
Now this is a chart of a lady, female, and she is not Mangalik by old texts.
But you consider 5th house.
I consider it Mangalik. Now see, the chart here, Mars is in the 8th house. Mars in the 8th house is very strong.
5th house, sir. 5th
Fifth
house.
house,
Yeah.
It's Scorpio sign.
Right. Right.
Now here Rahu is aspecting the Mars.
Right.
And no other planet is aspecting the Mars.
Right.
And Rahu is here, and this Rahu is also in the sign of Jupiter. Now Mars in the Scorpio is definitely 5th house, a Lakshmi Sthan, a money provider.
Right.
Definitely. But as far as now relationship is considered, then let us analyze the first, the ascendant. Ascendant is here Cancer. The lord of the ascendant is Moon. Moon is placed with Ketu.
Ketu.
This means something has gone wrong with the ascendant. Some past karma linked with the body and brain. Some past karma. Ketu is the past storage, past karma. And Rahu is also the past passion. Let us define the difference. Ketu is the past storage, the knowledge that we know. And it will be explored as time comes. But Rahu is our unfulfilled desires that we will fulfill.
Right.
And it requires the support of the Mars effort. But Ketu does not require the support of the Mars.
Right.
because it is the knowledge that we have.
Right. Right.
So here it is the past. Now here Mars is affecting the eighth house. Let us analyze. Eighth house is the fourth 100% impact on
Right.
this. Here Mercury is placed in the sign of Saturn,
Certainly.
and Mars is impacting this sign. Mercury is the argument, and Mercury is the worst planet for this ascendant, being the lord of the 12th and the lord of the third.
Right.
Cancer ascendant, the Mercury is the worst planet as far as the things is concerned. This means what is the second house? This eighth house. Eighth house is the spouse family.
Right.
Spouse family, and this means there is some argument going on with spouse family.
Right.
So and yeah,
Related to money or property, right?
related to money, property, or anything.
Right.
There is some other things we'll discuss later on, that what is the 11th house the Saturn is doing. Saturn is doing the work of the Mula or Ketu.
Right.
Saturn is in the Ketu. This means the past something is stored there.
Right.
For that there is a fight,
Right.
an argument. So argument with in-law family.
Mhm.
His in-law family
Yeah,
is
Saturn
going.
is also aspecting it. Saturn is also aspecting Ketu also.
Is also expecting. On one hand, it is the argument. On the other front, it is a very good horoscope. She is a doctor,
Right.
administrative doctor.
Right.
Jupiter is in, you have seen this in Ashwini Nakshatra. And
Jupiter, Saturn
yeah,
in Mula.
yeah, Lord of the sixth in eighth, Lord of sixth in tenth, and this Lord of eighth in sixth.
Yeah,
So,
good combination for doctor. Yes, definitely.
so Moon and Ketu also, Moon is afflicted. So that profession is not I am discussing. Now I am discussing the relationship.
Relationship part. Yeah.
Relationship, this means 10 sign. And Sun is placed here. Sun means Sun wants to be a king. So her husband wants, as I am a king,
Right.
treat me like a
Like a
king,
king.
or else face the wrath. So here the problem is occurring in relationship, and she has to overwork for her husband.
Right.
And here is the conflict of the career there.
Right.
And due to the career conflict and all these conflict, she has faced miscarriage also.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So these are the things that we should not blame only that Manglik is dangerous. And one more thing, just see 35 and 24.
Four. Again, close to 10-point difference.
Yeah. So this is, but the good point is Venus is just nearly a 4 point. 5 point is the Jupiter.
Even Saturn is 4 points.
Yeah, and Saturn is the fourth point, that overwork she is doing for her husband, and with intelligence she is doing, and that's why she is maintaining.
Hmm.
She is able to hold the relationship properly.
Right.
These are the things that we must understand, that it is not only the Manglik that is responsible, it is non-Manglik also cases, and it depends on the horoscope, not only on the Manglik. Just 2 points in the last, that we have to see the Mars influences and intensity of the Mars influence. And the intensity of the Mars influence is more important, because how much impact it is going to create.
Right.
So I feel this is the all about our Manglik.
They're beautiful. I think this would be the only or one of the lectures, fine lectures on Manglik Dosh. Or I would say Manglik Yog on the YouTube.
Yeah, Manglik is not bad at all.
Right, right. And just like I was mentioning before, when we spoke about Mars in the fourth house, there I was just taking a actual example, not hypothetically, like how they are sacrificing for the others, especially for the Cancer Lagna, how they are
Yeah,
sacrificing for their spouses so that they
yeah.
can also go ahead in life or proceed in life.
There is a technique also hidden. You
Okay,
see, the Mars influence is here on the 8th house.
right.
Here, Mars influence is on the 11th house and the 12th house.
12th house.
Energy here is more. Now, she has been advised to go for your studies more
Right,
and avoid the conflict.
right,
And she is quite successful in that.
right,
Quite and whatever you want to spouse family, talk intellectually,
right.
not argument based on a shallow analysis.
Mercury sign, Mercury sign.
Mercury and the sign, 11 sign.
11th.
This is the scientific sign.
And you
Talk
said, sir, miscarriages. So were there multiple miscarriages? Is she
not
your
multi.
client?
One, it has occurred. You see the 5th house.
Okay.
Rahu aspect is there. Lord of the Mars and Mars Nakshatra is Jyeshtha
Jyeshta.
by Mercury. Mercury is the surgery ward.
Right,
So what is flowing inside the Mars? The fluid is Mercury.
right.
Inside the Mars, the fluid is Mercury.
And
We have to
Mercury is, yeah, yeah. So it's having a exchange between the nakshatras, Mars and Mercury nakshatra, Mercury and Mars nakshatra also.
yeah. You know, Mercury is also in the Dhanishta, Mars Nakshatra.
Yeah, that's
It will provide the this property from the in-laws also. It will
that is why that was the only reason I was asking.
it will definitely when Dasha will come, she will get it. No doubt.
Right.
But before that, everything requires the work for that. You have to pay something, then you get something.
Yeah, absolutely, sir. So this was a beautiful, beautiful one-on-one lecture with you, especially on Manglik. So it will definitely, I think personally, it will take a lot of fear out when we say that he or she should not get married or they should get married. I think this will give a lot of clarity to them.
Yes, definitely, actually, whenever a horoscope comes, the one should expand it on the life path first. It takes a lot of time, and it is not easy. So in a 5 or 10 minutes, one says that in this analysis you go, anybody goes, then it will require 2 to 3 hours to analyze properly. And who gives so much time?
Right.
Definitely.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for now.